this idiot with the microphone preach a good message, and that it would make sense, and that God, you would just move in hearts and minds tonight, and I pray that you would change the hearts of these students in this room, and that we would all see that we all wear different masks, and that you would just give us the view and of your heart and your eyes to see where we can make ourselves better. In Jesus' name, amen. So, I want to talk about masks tonight, and I'm extremely excited about this. So we all wear masks. What do I mean by that? Can somebody tell me what the heck I'm talking about that we all wear masks? Tyra.
It's like something to cover up your true emotion.
Exactly. So putting on a mask is kind of like putting on an attitude or putting on a mindset, or like, okay, so a lot of times people put on masks like when they're having a bad day, and then they have those like fake smiles and they act like they're having a good day, you know what I'm saying? Or like a lot of times what happens is people have a really hard like home life, but like nobody knows about it because they just put on a mask and they pretend like everything's fine. Do you know what I'm talking about? And so masks a lot of times, like I think everyone in this room, if you're not right now, you've wore a mask at one point of your life or not. Can we all agree with that? So tonight, excuse me if I have to drink a lot of water and stuff. I've been sick for like forever, but that's okay. So, what? Oh, what? So there's a couple reasons that we wear masks, and this sermon probably will be hopefully short, and you're like, amen. So we wear masks for different reasons. All right? Does anybody have anything that you would say this is a reason someone would wear a mask? This is a reason someone would fake? Yes, Gavin.
Scared of people.
Scared of people. That's the first one. Okay, hold on. That's the first one. The first reason we wear masks, and this is one of the main reasons, is we are afraid of what people might think about us if we took off the mask and they saw how we actually were, right? A lot of times people pretend like things they're not just so they'll fit in with different people. That's craziness, right? They will dress in different clothes. They will buy specific shoes. They will like certain things. They will listen to music that they don't even like just to fit in with a group that they don't even like. They just want to fit in so that they can fit in, right? So a lot of times people wear masks so they can fit in with the people that's around them. Would you say that's true? If you say that's true, say amen.
Amen.
Cool. Has anyone got another one? Anyone got another one? Cora.
Their home life.
Their home life? Yeah, you had your hand raised too, was it?
Just like school life, not like outfits, but like not like personal stuff, like your personality.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what Devin said. It's like our true personality, like me, I know for me personally, I hung out with all older dudes when I was young, and they were all like gangbangers. So I would like act all hard and like act like I liked what they liked, and like if they said they liked something, I'd be like, yeah, man, straight, you know. And I'd like just play this game, but I didn't even a lot of times like the music or like the whatever we're listening to. Or have you ever hung out with a person and you want them to like you so bad that you tell jokes that they would think is funny, but you don't actually really think they're funny? Like you wouldn't make them jokes by yourself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You ever found yourself in a spot like that where you're like trying to impress this person? So you're like, I like sports, you know. And you're like, do you ever watch sports? You're like, yes. No, you know? And it's like, you're like lying just so you can get them to like you. Another reason I feel like is because we're afraid we'll be judged. We're afraid we'll be judged. A lot of times the reason that we put on a fake mask, the reason that we pretend like someone we're not, is because we're afraid that if someone saw how we actually are, that they would judge us for how we act. Man, if they know the kind of music I listen to, or if they knew what I was doing on the weekends, if they knew what my private Snapchat life looked like, man, they would put me on absolute blast. They would put me on. Does anyone say that you felt like that at one point? Yeah. One person? Come on, who else is lying? You guys are all lying. Okay, thank you very much. I knew you were lying. And then sometimes, like you said, home life, sometimes we put on masks to hide our brokenness. Now, there is a common denominator in all of those things. Can anybody guess it? I'll give you one chance. If not, I'll tell you later. Anyone got it? One guess? In each one of those things, afraid of being judged, afraid they won't like you, and to hide brokenness, there's a common denominator for wearing a mask. Can anybody guess what that would be? Yes?
Self-conscious.
Sort of. I'll tell you guys again in a minute. I just want to put this out here so that you can clearly see it as I talk. You can be thinking about that mask. So, I just want to say this. God is not fooled by the mask. God is not fooled by the mask. God does not see the mask and be like, who's that again? God is not fooled. He sees past our mask. He knows exactly what's going on. So I want to go to Exodus 2. Exodus 2. So if you have a smartphone that you want to go to the Bible app, or if you don't want to, if you just want me to read it to you, that's fine. But we're going to go to Exodus 2. And listen, if you love Jesus, you'll take notes. So take notes because God might speak something through me that would help you out. So take notes. And the reason why I say take notes is like, tell me what I talked about 3 months ago. You have no idea, right? The only way to really remember that is by taking pretty good notes. So I want to read a story. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to read a good portion of Scripture. And the reason why is because I believe that the Bible gives us access to how God thinks and what His heart is like. Can you guys agree with that? Mm-hmm. So I want to go into a story of the Bible about one guy, and we're going to talk about his life a little bit. Does that sound good? I want to talk about Moses. Okay? So first of all, I need to explain Israel a little bit. Israel was a group of people, they're Hebrews, right? And they were living in Egypt, and they got so popular, okay, they're having so many babies, you know what I'm saying, that they were getting, like, their population was growing and growing and growing, and the king there was like, oh, you know, no. He's like, you know, we can't have, they're going to overtake this, they're going to overrun us, they're going to mess us up, right? So he said, you know what I need to do? I need to kill all the Israelites. That's kind of crazy, right? It's like saying, like, I don't even know. I don't even want to say it because it's going to, like, sound racist. But, like, somebody, like, moving into your town or whatever, and it's like a big Greek, like, say it's like Greek people or something, and they put, like, a Greek restaurant, and they put, like, a Greek, like, gym. I don't know if they have this. But they just, like, make all these Greek things. So, like, the not logical thing to do is say, you know what we need to do? We need to go and kill them all. And they're like, yeah, I like that. I like that idea. You know, like, who is the king around? And they're like, you know, high five. Good one, king. Let's murder him. You know what I mean? And then get pizza. You know, like, what kind of weird king is this, right? So the king puts an order to kill all of the male babies. Okay, all of the male babies, right? So what happens is Moses' mom takes a basket and puts him in it and throws him down the river. I'm just kidding. She placed him calmly into the river. But she put him into this river and sent him off. Shh, I need you to listen. And as the river went down, Pharaoh, which is basically the king of the earth at that time, like all the known earth was controlled by Pharaoh. Like he was like Pharaoh, if you looked at Pharaoh wrong, he would kill you and your entire family. It was the real deal, right? So Pharaoh's wife was out like taking a bath in that river, and Moses came floating along, and she found him and basically adopted him, right? So Moses, being a Hebrew, didn't know that growing up. He grew up as a prince of Egypt, just like the Disney movie Prince of Egypt. Now, princes, man, they were bathed, they were fed, they were, everything they did, like they didn't do anything for themselves. They were taken care of hand and foot. Like they were perfection, right? They were seen as living gods, is what Pharaoh and his family were. So, does everyone understand who Moses is? Mm-hmm. And the problem with the Israelites? Okay, here we go. I want to start reading. I'm going to start Exodus 2. Verses 11 through 12. It says this. Many years later, when Moses has grown up, he went out to visit his own people, the Hebrews. And he saw how hard they were forced to work. Okay? So part of killing the Israelites, they also put them into slave labor. Meaning, they would pay them nothing, but they would make them work for like 12, 16 hours a day in the heat, not feeding them. Skinny old men having to go out there and work, and they were beating them with whips. If they would slow down, if they didn't make like 100 a day, which was like impossible, they would beat them and whip them. Isn't that crazy? So Moses went out to go see his people. He found out, you know, that he's a Hebrew. So he went out to see his people, and he saw how hard they were working. And during his visit, he saw an Egyptian, imagine this in your head, beating one of his fellow Hebrews, whipping him, beating him. The guy's probably crying, sprawled out on the ground. And it says, after looking in all directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid his body in the sand. Dang. So he sees this, he goes out to see the Hebrews, and he sees this man whipping the Hebrew, and he's like, oh my, he's like, I can't. And he looked around, and he kills him. He kills him and hides his body in the sand. Pretty crazy, right? Do you understand why he did it, though? He's seen his own people out there being beat by these people, and they're like, I can't take this. The next day, when Moses went out to visit his people again, he saw two Hebrew men fighting. He said, why are you beating up your friend? Moses said to the one that started fighting the man. The man replied, who appointed you to be our prince and judge? Are you going to kill me just like you killed the Egyptian yesterday? Then Moses was afraid, thinking, everyone knows what I did. He was expecting to go out there and be like, everyone clapping, like, you know, you killed him, you protected us, thank you so much. He goes out there and the dude's like, I just suspect he's from Brooklyn. He's like, You tell me you're going to kill me like you killed the other guy yesterday? Let me tell you something. Get on my face. You know what I mean? And it's like, he didn't expect that. He expected like hugs and like, oh, like, like, I am the one that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's what he expected. But it turned out totally different. Have you ever had a moment in your life where you tried to do something that you thought was good and turned out to not be good at all?
Yeah.
You turn around and you're like, that is not what I expected to happen, even in the slight bit. And he said, what are you going to kill? Oh, what are you going to kill me like I killed the Egyptian yesterday? And he's like, and then Moses was afraid. His heart sunk. Remember, this is the prince of Egypt, basically. His heart sunk, and he said, oh my God, everyone knows I killed. At first he was thinking it was something good, but now he's like, dude, I killed a guy. I literally killed a guy. Like, I got to get the heck out of here. So, the next verse in 15, it says, sure enough, Pharaoh heard what happened, and he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went and lived in the land of Midian. When Moses arrived in Midian, he sat down beside a well. So he got so scared that he ran. If your own dad tried killing you, you would probably run too. Does everyone have you ever been in a situation where you did something so bad that you just feel like running? Have you ever been in a situation, you do something so stupid, you just walk around the room, you're like, you like don't know what to do. You're like, my life is over. I don't know what to do. And you just want to run. Have you ever had that instinct, like, I'm just going to go to Georgia and, I don't know, be a redneck? You know what I mean? Like, you ever had that feeling, like, I just want to run? Raise your hand if that's ever been you. Okay. There are things in our lives that cause us to run. Okay? So instead of reading you the next part, I'm just going to explain to you real quick. So basically, he finds these girls, right? He runs and runs and runs, and then he finds this well. The well is how they drank water, okay? Without the well, they would die. If you're not taking notes, then don't get on your phone or I'll kick you right in the forehead. So he finds this well, right? And he sits down by it, and he's probably exhausted. He probably ran, like, all night, like Forrest Gump, when he, like, runs across America, right? He just runs and runs and runs. He sits down, and then here comes these two girls, and they're shepherds, and they have their flock, and they're coming to the well to get some water, right? All is well. Well, anyways. So these shepherds come along and see these two young girls with all these sheep, and back in the day, sheep was money. Sheep was like, that was like your bank account, okay? Like, one sheep was probably worth like $1,000 in like, I don't know, in like American money. So it was like a lot of money, right? So these two shepherds or a couple, like 10, see these two girls, and it's like, you know what? Let's take those sheep. That's a lot of money, those girls. We can kill them easy. Let's take those sheep. So they go over to steal these girls' sheep, and Moses steps up. Now, Moses was a prince of Egypt. That means he was trained in the highest level of military combat there is. So he killed all those fools. He killed every single one of them. And he got the sheep water from the well. So these girls run back to their dad, and they're like, dude, this Egyptian came and helped us. He saved our lives. And he's like, well, why didn't you bring him here? Bring him back. He's like, I'm going to make him some grub. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the right answer. I do something for you, you better bring me some food. Just telling you that right now. So he's like, let's go back to the house and let's get some food. Everyone with me so far? Am I doing okay? Can I keep going a little bit longer? Okay, good. Moses accepted the invitation and settled there with them. In time, Raul, I don't know why his name is Raul, right? Raul. So, gave Moses his daughter, Zipporah, to be his wife. Later, she gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershon, for he explained, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. The reason I read that is this. He stays and he lives with the dad of the girls he saved. And then he marries one of his daughters. And then he names his kid Gershon, which means, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. Do you guys realize what he's doing? Moses ran and put on a mask. Moses ran and put on a mask. Nobody knew he was the prince of Egypt. He went from being fed and bathed and taken care of to being a shepherd. Living, like, I'll be a shepherd if I can just live at your house and eat. Like, I'm not getting paid anything, I just want to live. He ran. He got scared. Things happened. And he put on a mask. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew where he was from. Do you understand? He ran and he put on a mask because he was afraid. Now, when I asked you earlier what the common denominator is with all of the situations, with being afraid of what people might think if you take off the mask, that they might not like you, that they might judge you, that they might be freaked out by your problems or what you're really doing or how you're really acting, he went and put on a mask. Now, the common denominator with all of those is fear. Fear is the reason that we wear the mask, right? If we didn't care what people think about us, do you think we'd wear a mask? No. Because we wouldn't care what people think about us. We would just live however we want. So Moses, because he killed a guy, he's like these sheep come and try to like GTA 5 these girls sheeps, and like he's like, heck no, you know what I mean? And like kills them all and then lives with them. And then, well, you know what he's thinking? I can wear the mask and nobody knows who I am. I can hide out here as long as I want. No one's ever going to know who I am. Seems like the perfect story, right? He runs away. He's accused of murder. He would be, if he were found by the Egyptians, they would kill him for murdering that man. His own dad tried to kill him. His family ruined. Doesn't even see his mom. He's living in a foreign land. He names a kid Gershom, which means I'm a foreigner in a foreign land, meaning nobody knows who I am. That's what he named his kid. But here's the thing. God knew exactly where he was. God knew exactly where he was. Listen, you can wear a mask, and you can hide, and you can pretend, and you can fake, and everyone can like the person that they think you are, but you're not really it. But I need to tell you tonight, you could be wearing your Wednesday night Christian mask right now. That I'm a total, you know what I mean? I'm just like trashy every day of the week, but on Wednesday nights, I put on my Jesus mask, and I go to church, and everything's fine. There could be people in here tonight that are wearing a mask, but I want to tell you right now, God sees past your mask. He sees directly to the person. Now, Moses was hiding. No one knew where he was, right? With the story, you guys with me? No one knew where he was, correct? He was hiding. He started a new life. He grew a mustache and changed his name. You know what I'm saying? He moved. He changed. No one laughed at that. Anyways, he moved on and he started a new life. But the thing is, it says this. One day Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro. So he's taking care of the sheep, right? This is the international sign for taking care of sheep. If you're wondering. He led the flock far into the wilderness and came to Sinai, the mountain of God. There, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the middle of a bush. Moses stared in amazement. Though the bush was engulfed in flames, it was on fire, it wasn't burning up. See, God was sending a clear message. He was in the wilderness. He was far away. And God showed up and set this bush on fire that wasn't consuming to get Moses' attention, that I know exactly where you're at. That you may be hiding from everyone. Everyone might not know who you really are or what you've done. But me, I know exactly where you're at and what you've done. And tonight, God is saying the same thing to you. There are people in this room tonight that are wearing masks. That you're faking. That there are things in your life that are wrong and they're messed up and you're scared or you're afraid of what people might think or you don't really want anyone to know what you're really going through. And you think, oh, I've got the perfect story. People believe this about me. People like me. People treat me well by what they think about me. But secretly, you're dying behind that mask. And I want to tell you, as much as you think you might be hiding, even in plain sight here at church, God knows exactly where you're at. But Moses protested to God. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a little bit. I want to read a couple more verses to you that will explain the story a little bit. Can I do that? Can I do that?
Yes.
Can I do that?
Yes.
Can I do that?
Yes.
Okay, you guys are lame. 3 through 10, it says this. I've got the world's most confusing Bible. 1 second. Okay, it says this. He said, "This is amazing," Moses said to himself. "Why isn't the bush burning up? I must go see it." Okay, so he sees this bush burning. He's like, what the heck? And the Lord saw Moses coming and take a closer look, and God called him from the middle of the bush. He said, "Moses, Moses." Moses said, "Here I am." "Do not come any closer," the Lord warned. "Take off your sandals, for where you're standing is holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob." And when Moses heard this, he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Isn't that ironic that that's what he's been doing for the last several years? He's been covering up who he truly is so that God won't see him. Kind of ironic, right? Mm-hmm. Then the Lord told him, "I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt." Remember the ones that are getting beaten and whipped? "I heard their cries and distress because of their harsh slave drivers. And yes, I am aware of their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them with power from Egypt and lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is a land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites now live. Look, I've seen the cry of my people Israel. It has reached me. God heard them. And I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abused them. It says, now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people out of Egypt. Now, sounds pretty awesome, right? God's going to save the Israelites. Remember when Moses went out there and saw him and he killed that dude because he was so mad at what they were doing? Now God's saying, I'm going to go and I'm going to set those people free. I'm going to help them. I'm going to take them away from all the... I've seen how bad they beat them. I've heard their cries. And now I'm prepared to set them free. Moses is probably like, heck yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm talking about. He's like, I'm going to send you. Moses is like, time out. You're going to send me? He's like, no. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to send you to Pharaoh. Now, do you guys understand what that means? Pharaoh was his father. Pharaoh was the man that killed all these people, right? Pharaoh is the one that is, I believe his brother's the one that came into power, but Pharaoh is the one that is doing all this. Moses, right now, he is perfectly hiding in plain sight behind his mask. If he were to leave and go to Pharaoh, they knew exactly who he is. Do you know what I'm talking about? He grew up with them. He's like, I can't go do that. In verse 11 it says this, but Moses protested to God, how am I, God, how am I supposed to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead out the people of Egypt? God, I've been running for years. I killed a dude, and now I'm hiding out. No one knows who I really am. How do you expect me, of all the people of this earth, to lead your people? God, I can't. I can't do it. Do you feel the weight of what I'm talking about here? Do you get why this means so much to him? He's hiding behind his mask, and everything's perfect. He's got life figured out. Some of you in this room right now are hiding behind a mask, and you feel God pushing you to have a deeper relationship with him. You feel God calling you to serve him. But you look at it and you go, God, but look what I've done. If I pretend like I'm a Christian and I go to school, all the people that know all the bad stuff I do is just going to roast me. Like, I can't expect to go to school and act like a Christian after everything I did this last weekend. Has anybody felt like that? Is anyone brave enough to be like, I can't act like I'm good now after everything, everyone knows all the bad I did? He was hiding out perfectly. He was safe. But God was calling him to do something amazing. He says, how am I supposed to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead out your people? I can't, Lord. God answered them this. I will be with you. And this will be your sign that I am with you, the one who has sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain. And guess what happens? I'll fast forward to the end of the story. If you want to turn on that altar music and turn down the lights a little bit for me there, Jared. The end of the story is this. Moses goes, and he says, set my people free. And Pharaoh says no. And God sends all these plagues. And long story short, basically, Moses gets them out. What he says that it's impossible for him to do, God makes it happen. And they walk across like water opens and lets them escape. God sets them free. So I want to say this to you tonight. Have you guys understood how I've gone so far? Did I lose anybody? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about in this sermon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just keep your hand up. Thank you. Okay, everyone, raise your hand. Here's the last thing I want to do. Kelsey, could you come and just set some of those markers just around the front here? Here's what I want to do. Each of you in this room, stand up with me. Stand up with me. Each one of you in this room have something that's holding you back. Each one of us in this room, including myself, have a mask that we're wearing. Can everyone agree that we have something at least that's holding us back from what God really wants? Come on, raise your hand if you're bold enough to say yes, that's me. So here's what I want to do tonight. Moses lived a life that was terrible. He killed a guy. He killed a man. And ran and hid and put on his mask. And his life and everything he had said was perfect. He was all good. You know what I'm saying? You guys understand? And his life was set. He was wearing the perfect mask. He had a wife. He had a job. He had everything he needed. But God said, I'm ready to use you to do something amazing. But the thing is, there came a moment where Moses had to choose to take off the mask. If he kept that mask on, forget it. Those people would have never gone free. Can you agree with me on that? Those people would have never walked out of Egypt, because that's the end of the story. Tonight and here, there are people right now that God is calling you to do something absolutely amazing with your life. God is calling you to change your school. God is calling you to reach your family. God is calling you to break the strands of addiction on your life. God's calling you to stop looking in the mirror and thinking you're horrible. God's calling you to stop thinking depressed thoughts and suicidal thoughts. God is ready for you to stop pretending at your school. God's ready for you to stop acting like someone you're not. God's ready for you to stop pretending. And God's ready for you to start your life. Moses couldn't accomplish what God called in his life if he didn't take off the mask. So I'm calling you tonight. I'm challenging you. I'm calling you out right now. If you want God to move in your life, raise your hand. God cannot move until we take off the mask. So here's what I want to do. I have markers set up here. I don't know which ones will really write on these or not. But I want everyone that's ready to move past this. I'm going to put these masks down here. I want you to come up and I want you to write on this mask what's holding you back from living full out for God. I want you to write on this mask fear or pain or lust or drugs or girls or guys or whatever it is that's holding you back. And I want you to say, I don't care what people think anymore. I'm not trying to be popular. I'm not hiding my brokenness. And let's take off the mask and let's see what God can do with our lives. If you're with me, say amen.
Amen.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pray. And I'm going to count to 3. And when I count to 3, if you're ready to take off the mask, if you're ready to stop pretending to be someone you're not, if you're ready to take this off and see what God can do in your life just like he did with Moses, I want you to come up here and you're going to write on this mask. And then we're going to destroy these masks right now, right after this story. We're going to crumble them up. We're going to stomp on them. We're going to throw them in the trash can. And we're going to get rid of these things that have been holding us back. Does that sound good? Everyone close your eyes for me.